Hey, this is Bob Doyle. I'm one of the featured teachers in the film The Secret, and I'm also the president of a company called Boundless Living. And what we do is we teach people to create and live their lives by design using law of attraction principles and other sort of cutting-edge techniques. And because of the nature of my business, I meet a lot of extraordinary people. I hear a lot of extraordinary stories. It's pretty hard to beat Karin Volo's extraordinary story. Now, if you were to look at her business card, you'd see she's an expert in personal and career development, and she calls herself a tough transition specialist and a dream life mentor. But it's how she became those things where it gets really extraordinary. Karin went through a period of 4 years where she was separated from her family, lost all of her freedom. That would mess with anybody's head. And to deal with that, she took on all sorts of mind, body, and spirit techniques, for peace of mind and positive thinking. But she also took on this little project of creating a series of picture books featuring a girl named Joy that teaches spiritual lessons of forgiveness and love and faith. Now, this series is called Bringing Joy to the World. And so I'm really happy to have Karin here to explain a little bit more about how joy came into being and how these stories can help others through tough transitions of their own. So the books are really just the beginning of what she's sort of calling a joy movement. So we want to hear all about that. So Karin, thanks for taking time to share this story with us.
Well, thanks for having me here, Bob. It's great. I'm happy to get joy out there in any way possible.
Great. So I mentioned that she's a little girl who teaches these lessons, but why don't you kind of flesh this out a little bit and explain to us really who Joy is?
Well, she is a little girl. She's a character. She's got a red dress. She's got brown hair, kind of in a bob haircut. And she is a very wise teacher. She understands how the universe works and is able to explain it in a way that basically, a 7-year-old can learn it very easily. So she really is someone who can communicate to children of all ages. And I say all ages because a lot of people get a very strong reaction to her, adults and older and you name it. She's just a little person that gets right into somebody's heart and touches them very deeply there.
Well, where did joy come from?
As you mentioned, I had lost my freedom for almost 4 years, and while I was dealing with the separation from my family and being in a very dark and negative environment, I kind of turned inward and started to meditate a lot. And over time, she just one day came to me, and I was meditating 3 or 4 times a day, so I was spending a lot of time doing that. And there was just one day where she showed up and started telling me a little story. So I wrote it down frantically, and then over the next few days, images and pictures would come to me. So I would spend hours and hours drawing these little picture books, basically, for my daughters, and I sent them home to them. And it was just really interesting because what ended up happening was that my daughters my husband would read the books to my daughters in the evening, and it just really connected our family on a very deep level. And it helped my daughters to deal with the tough time that they were going through with us being separated. So it was just a way that kept our family really bonded, really close, and got us through a very difficult time together. And so that's how she came. And basically I knew that after, the 3rd or 4th one that I'd gotten, that this was something really special going on. And I knew that at some day that these were going to be published. So now here we are. That day is here.
Great. That's at least you had the ability to do that. That's extraordinary just in and of itself, that you had it in your spirit to be able to be creative and do these things and let that message flow through you, because I think a lot of people would just completely shut down. So that's pretty extraordinary right there. Tell me what you hope to accomplish with joy.
Joy is really, it was a gift to our family to get us through that difficult time, and now it's almost like it's our gift, my family's gift to the world. And joy is really here to be shared with everybody. And joy represents, the word joy, which is the way she defines joy, is happiness and love put together. So if you see the symbol for joy, it's a heart with a little smiley face inside. And, joy is really meant to be shared with everybody and help a lot of people on a lot of different levels. And it really, I think, is going to help bond parents to their kids, especially these days when parents are so busy. You want to be able to communicate and have good conversations with them. And she teaches very strong values. It just really helps people to understand how incredibly powerful we are, that we can accomplish create our own lives and accomplish anything that we set out to do. It all starts within. That's one of the main things she teaches.
Well, that's terrific, because I know that in the course of my work over the years, one of the most frequent questions I get is how can we teach these types of principles to our kids? And so, any kind of tool that allows us to bridge that gap is awesome. So thank you again for doing that. Now, you have something that you call a joy ambassador. What is that?
A joy ambassador is someone who really loves joy. Joy has gotten into that person's heart and really wants to help us to get the message out. And so this is kind of what I call a grassroots movement, because there's no way that my family and I are going to be able to get joy out there just by ourselves. We need people that can help us with it, that can take joy into first their families, learn her lessons, and then also take it into the community. Go read a joy book at a school or at a hospital or wherever someone might think that they could use a little joy. I mean, I just really visualize that people could be reading joy books to kids in hospitals. That's a time when they really need something like that because they're going through challenges. And so the joy ambassadors are just really the people that want to help us to spread joy and take an active role in that.
Okay, fantastic. So now I also mentioned at the end of the introduction that these books are really just the beginning of something bigger called a joy movement. You want to explain that?
As I said, joy is basically the combination of happiness and love put together. And I think our world needs so much of that right now. It's almost like it's like this wave that's just starting, and it's going to have this ripple effect. Like you put a pebble into a pond, you get the ripple effect of spreading out and spreading out. And I just see that happening with joy. One of the key things that joy teaches is like the law of giving. In order to receive, you give in order to receive, and vice versa. It's like a circular, a cyclical pattern. Contributing back to your family and to your community, and then also really on a global basis. The joy movement is really where I want to be able to spread joy all over the world. For those of us that are doing well in life, to help those that maybe don't have it quite as well, and to contribute to them. And I think as a business as well, we've always had this philosophy of contributing back and giving back on some level. So the big picture for joy is basically spreading joy out there. It'll be educational for children and families, and it could be in schools, it could be in spiritual settings, and also giving back in the sense that those of us from the developed countries or whatever have a responsibility to help out. We only have one planet. We all kind of have to take care of it. Part of the joy movement I see is also planting trees and getting the earth kind of back in the balance we need to have here. Just this pebble being dropped in the water right now, and I just see that the ripples are just going to continue out and out and out. Quite honestly, kids they grow up with a certain type of cartoon character, something that's always relates to that generation. You got Batman and Robin, and then you've got Nemo and Dora the Explorer and all those, and I just see joy being the next generation of that and having a really strong message.
So you get the message out, you're doing all of these things, it's spread. That's sort of the tactical, this is what's happening. But long term, do you have a sort of a grand vision for the impact that the joy movement will have on the planet?
I really hope it brings a very strong awareness to people that we're all connected, we're all one, we all have this ability to create our lives, that we're powerful within ourselves, and that we are connected to this amazing field of energy, so that people understand how the universe really works and kind of get out of living by default or living from what joy considers, the ego-driven life, and moving into a spirit-guided life, because that kind of a life is a very joyful life, and it has a lot of love in it, and just feeling good and creating really whatever you desire to have in your life. And that's really, we all have that within us, and we're just not taught that, and that's what joy teaches. And so I just feel that it's going to have a huge impact on so many levels, and a multi-generational level as well.
Well, it's an awesome project, and what's even more awesome is that it exists in the first place, given your circumstances. Like I said before, most people would just shut down and say, oh, the universe is against me, and just kind of give up. And you did just the opposite of that, and you're taking that situation and turning it into something that didn't just help you, didn't just help your family, but is actually going to have this widespread impact, and it's just fantastic. So thank you for finding the strength when you're in that situation to do that, and for taking the continued action, because I know writing books and doing everything that you've done, this isn't easy. This takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of energy, and it just takes really staying inspired. And again, that's that seems to be rare these days. So hopefully you will inspire others to take that spirit on themselves and also accomplish great things just like you're doing right now. So again, Karin, thank you for what you're doing, and thank you for sharing your story with me today.
Thanks so much, Bob. I appreciate it.